What's up, Kings fans? We're back in the film room, even on Thanksgiving, and the Kings actually had a big win last night in Minnesota, but that's not going to be the nature of this video. This is going to be part 1 of me trying to address some of the struggles we've seen as of late. In this video, I'll be addressing the defense, and I'll be looking at the offense the next time around. I asked on Twitter for what some of you guys wanted to see, so I'll do my best to try and cover most of the questions that you guys had. Overall, you can chalk up some of the defensive struggles to any number of things. Everyone has their own opinion, rather it's scheme, a roster problem, effort, or bad luck. Overall, the answer is probably going to be a mix of all of it. Some of this is just going to be my opinion, and of course I'm not with the team, so I'm not going to know 100% what they're trying to execute every single possession, but I'll do my best given what we do know. And I think it's also important to note that the Kings really haven't been that bad defensively. That being said, there's still noticeable issues with the defense, and that's what I'll be trying to address here. I pulled all of these clips from the recent games against the Clippers, Nets, and Thunder, since the Kings were mostly healthy in all of these games, and the struggles were kinda amplified in these losses. The biggest problem is just going to be the personnel. Since Sabonis is your 5, that means you're playing without a real rim protector, so if you let players get deep in the paint or get downhill against Sabonis, you're probably going to be giving up 2 points most of the time. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't hold a good defense, but you gotta have the right guys around you, and right now the Kings probably just don't. Sacramento's roster has a massive imbalance. They are loaded with guards and hardly have any capable wings, although they did just sign Jay Crowder. But the best and longest wing defender that you have in Keegan is also your main point of attack defender in most instances. At least starting Keon Ellis now will free up some of the defensive workload off of Keegan, but still at any point in time you're almost guaranteed to be trotting out an undersized lineup with one or multiple non-defenders. In that starting lineup, DeRozan is the easiest defender to attack, so OKC swings it to Dort here and makes DeMar defend on the perimeter, and he gets hung up on the screen here, so you see Keegan come over as that nail help, but that just leaves J-Dub wide open on the kick. Since the Kings will mostly switch on the perimeter, teams can pretty easily matchup hunt and get whatever switch they want. So again, it's DeRozan that's getting targeted. Harden gets the switch that he wants, but you can see even though DeRozan is on an island, look how much help that he has. The Kings have Herter and Fox really load up in their gaps, so there isn't really a driving lane, and this time Harden just pulls a 3. Harden hunts that same switch this play, and Fox is again in the gap 1 pass away with his back to his defender. The Kings do this so that Harden can attack, but if he swings it to Chris Dunn like he does here, that's an open and in rhythm 3. The Kings typically won't help like this if they can preserve their matchups, so here Keon is chasing Harden off this zoom action and does a pretty good job staying attached, and you can see Herter stay with his man in that strong side corner. Keon ends up forcing a turnover, stripping Harden on his way up. Keon is on the ball here, which is what you really want, but Brooklyn is going to have Clowney come up and ghost a screen, and the Kings don't really need to switch this here. Since it's a ghost screen, no contact is being made, Keon is still attached to the ball handler, but it looks like Lyles calls for the switch anyways, and the moment that you got Lyles guarding the perimeter, you're pretty much cooked. Overall, the Kings really only have 2 consistent plus defenders in Keon Ellis and Keegan Murray. When Fox is engaged, obviously he's awesome, especially at the point of attack. I don't think that guys like Malik Monk and Kevin Herter have been bad defenders, but if they're guarding the ball, especially in ball screens, it's gonna be rough. And then if you have DeRozan or Trey Lyles, or even if Doug McDermott's out there, they're all pretty easily negatives on that end. One of my issues with the Kings defense is they just give up these switches too easy. Keon starts on Harden here, which is what you want, and Harden has Terrence Mann come and set this screen looking to get the Doug McDermott switch. And if this screen is coming out near the logo, why are we giving it up that easy? Now with McDermott on an island against Harden, you may as well just count the points. Even with the Kings' help principles, the Clippers can just space out and give Harden all of these gaps to attack. This is that next possession, and the Clippers are doing the same thing, but you can even see Keon tell Doug to go back to his man, but that doesn't happen, and so Harden looks to ISO again. The Kings do send Keon as a double, but it's too late by that point, and you never really should have had to do that, and Harden ends up getting fouled. In this Oklahoma City game, the Thunder spam the same action over and over again to deliberately attack one of Sacramento's weakest defenders. What they would do is set up these double ball screens either for Shea or J-Dub. In this case, it's J-Dub and Keegan is on the ball. That first screen will be set to get the matchup they want, right? So they have Dort set it since DeRozan is guarding him. That gives J-Dub the DeRozan switch and immediately puts him in ball screen action since Hartenstein is setting that second screen. Here DeMar is late stepping up, J-Dub gets right by him, and that lob over the top is now now wide open with Sabonis forced to engage. Here it is again, that swing to J-Dub who has Keon on in this time, and that first screen is being set to switch Herder onto the ball, who has to step up and get over that second screen. Again, Herder hasn't really been a bad defender, but if he's forced to guard a guy like J-Dub in ball screens, it's just going to be rough most of the time. So again, J-Dub is getting downhill. This time he kicks it to the weak side corner with DeRozan as the low tag man, and it's an open 3 and a late contest. Oklahoma City absolutely picked the Kings apart with this action. It's very effective because it's efficient. You get the switch that you want and immediately put a weaker defender into guarding ball screen action against a player like Shea or Jalen Williams. The Kings even tried blitzing at one point, but confusion on the back end just results in a wide open dunk. Another problem of the Kings defense is at times the overhelping and gambling. Part of it is just how the Kings play and how they try to discourage points in the paint, but a lot of it is preventable. Here the ball handler is driving against Keegan and DeRozan sinks in from the weak side, but where he picks up the ball there is really no advantage for the offense. DeRozan can close out back to his man here, number 22, Jalen Wilson, but Herder thinks it's necessary to X out here, completely leaves Cam Thomas at the top of the key looking for a steal. Instead it's a kick out and open 3 that Thomas just misses. Herder is generally a good defender and makes a lot of plays, but there are times where it's just too much. And hey, maybe it's scheme and they're fine with it, but I don't know, man. Jordan Miller is in the corner here with Keon, and Keon does a great job at staying attached to the zoom action. And I love Jordan Miller, but I mean, this is Jordan Miller driving and not someone like James Harden. So to me, where Kevin Herder is playing is unnecessary help. He has both feet in the paint while defending the strong side corner, and the ball handler doesn't really have downhill depth against Keon. So when he kicks it, this is a pretty open and easy 3 in the corner, just not a look that I would like to give up. The reason I say maybe it's the Kings is because it's Terrence Mann in the corner, who is a low volume and lower percentage 3-point shooter, but open corner 3s are typically a no-no to allow for most NBA players. The Kings schematically do all they can to protect the paint, which leaves these corner 3s open a lot of the time. Pay attention to Keegan and Doug on the weak side here. That player on the wing is going to slot cut as the ball is swung here. Keegan and Doug switch assignments, but instead of following that cutter to the opposite corner where he relocates, the Kings have Doug stay as help against the drive, but now the weak side numbers advantage favors Brooklyn, so there's no one there on that skip pass, and a lot of teams in these scenarios will set these exit screens like the Nets do here with Clowney, and what that does is really just combat anyone trying to close out to that corner. A lot of times the Kings are usually just a split second or so late in reacting to their closeouts, but again it's really just personnel. The Kings have slower dudes like Trey Lyles and DeMar DeRozan guarding the perimeter, and they just don't have the quickness or burst necessary to really get there in time and make a difference with their contest. And the Kings' help from the corner isn't consistent. The Kings should probably pill switch more often in my opinion. So here when Keon gets beat by Shea, instead of having Keegan just help or stunt from the corner, he actually switches onto him and Keon will pill off to the corner, so it's a natural switch to eliminate that advantage. In this specific instance it doesn't matter because DeMar overhelps, but I'm all for the Kings doing this more often. It's been happening much less as of late, but the Kings probably just need to stop blitzing and playing zone as a whole. I don't have the numbers from Synergy to back it up, but the Kings have looked so bad in these possessions. Most of the time they blitz their hedges, either half-hearted or just unnecessary, and the zone possessions have basically guaranteed a wide open 3 every time. So I hope I was able to answer some of your question, but again it's really just going to be a combination of things that lead to a struggling defense. I view the personnel and roster construction as the biggest factor, but like I said earlier, it's important to note that the Kings defense hasn't been awful. And if they can even just maintain an average defense, as long as their offense progresses to where it should, because it hasn't been good so far. But if it gets to where it could be, then an average defense is really all you need. But obviously that's a lot of ifs, and who knows what's going to happen. As always, thank you all for watching and supporting the channel, and I'll see you all next time.